This is Matt Russell, and welcome to the DailyFX Forum.
Hello and welcome to the DailyFX Forum Highlights video for November 24th. So just scanning through the forums tonight, a post here that I wanted to highlight by Sean Hyman earlier in the day, and he's showing the 15-minute euro-dollar chart, some support lines, but more importantly the resistance line, and we could see the breakout above that level, and he's saying how that could lead, and he wanted to alert other members of the forum that this may lead to an increased chance for scalping opportunities in the pair. So I wanted to go ahead and bring up the euro-dollar chart and show you how I personally would look at this situation, how I might look to enter a trade. This is the same line that Sean was speaking about earlier. I didn't put the support line on because it's not really relevant to this discussion. So moving forward here and actually zooming in a little bit, I want to show the breakout. Now the first candle of the breakout we can see, and actually let me zoom in a little bit more so we can see this in more detail. We can see the first candle is actually a large spike that goes back above the line and then actually closes back beneath the line. Now the breakout would not be confirmed until prices actually close above the level, which would be this candle here, and then we can see the next candle prices come down and test this line again, and that's where you want to enter these trades. And again, this is very short term, so we're really here only talking about 5 pips or so. So personally I would look to enter this trade at the back test of the support line, and then maybe place a stop about 20 to 25 pips back beneath the line, and again trying to make 10 pips on the upside, 15 pips on the upside, maybe 20 pips on the upside, but it really depends on your individual risk parameters. But that's how I personally would look to enter these types of trades. So moving forward, actually scrolling down the thread here, a post here by Graham. Hi Sean, been following this myself, and is it possible we might get a bounce off a retest of that trend line, possibly for another assault of 50-50? What do you think will be needed to get the pair to break 50-50? And again, you know, this is something I don't really think about, like what it's going to take in terms of fundamental news or something like that. I'm just watching the price action, and this is the line that he's speaking about, the simple support line on the daily chart, and you can't get any clearer than this. So prices are in an uptrend until we actually have a close back beneath this level. And zooming out a little bit, I mentioned about a week ago I'm looking for that 152.80 area. I always imagined or envisioned prices coming back to that line. I just think it's a very key level, and we can see I also mentioned that this is a borderline island gap, and now with prices getting back above the 49.50 area, this is also what I mentioned last week, is that if prices can stay above the 150 figure for at least a day or so, I really think that 52.80 will be the next target, and should at least act as short-term resistance. But again, anything can and will happen in trading, but that would be the target for me personally. But I'm going to give it another day or so, see if prices do maintain closes above the 150 area. Now zooming in shorter term here, I wanted to bring up a 5-minute chart and show you sort of what's happening tonight on the euro-dollar pair, and what might have been good setups. And we might have another one. It's still at 124, maybe another hour or so, and we can see that every time prices came down and penetrated that 149.40 area, they rebounded. And in my opinion, what's happening, obviously it's a rather slow time in the market, and that just might be one big order that's just sitting there, and it's not somebody pushing around the market or something like that. It's just a big order, and there's not enough volume to sort of get through that order, so you're getting these bounces off that order every time it comes back down. Now again, it's getting a little too close to the London Open here in terms of setting up another trade, but I might look to see if prices do come back beneath that 149.40 area, and then place a stop maybe about 10 pips or so, 10 to 15 pips back beneath that line. And then it depends on your upside, maybe looking for 10, 15, 20 pips. It depends on your individual risk parameters exactly how you would enter and exit the trade, but I'm just showing how I personally would do so in this situation. We have a clear, and I also like to see the long wicks here, and that indicates sharp buying pressure as prices do penetrate that 149.40 area, which can aid you in your trade. But again, anything can and will happen. This is Matt Russell. Thanks for listening. I want to take this opportunity to formally welcome you all to the DailyFX forums. I want to go through the process of how I personally access the forums, and how maybe you at home, if you want to access the forums in the future, might do so. The first thing you would do is go to www.dailyfx.com, and that will bring up, obviously, dailyfx.com. And usually there on the upper right hand corner, I'll go ahead and click on where it says Forum, and that will bring up the first page of the forums. And this view, I personally don't use this view, but this view actually shows you the most recent posts on all the threads within the different sections, and a little detail about those posts, so you can read through and see if there's something catches your interest. But personally, I go ahead and just click on forums and view them in the more traditional sense. Now, these are different threads within the forum. There's a section on education, such as DailyFX course instructor tips, which would be good for newer traders, and then for more advanced traders. And I just want to go ahead, personally, the way I use the forums is I would go through the individual threads, just looking for trade ideas, maybe looking at charts, looking at certain lines that maybe I didn't put up on my chart, but another trader might have put up on their chart. I tend to shy away from using direct trade recommendations from other forum members, but it helps me to sort of even out my analysis, make sure that I'm seeing things with the right mind, in terms of I might be missing stuff that other traders can see. And that's my personal way of using the forum. Every trader is going to be a little bit different in how they use it. So if you want to ask questions, if you want to become an active participant of the members, you would have to go ahead and register. So that's what I'm going to go through now, is the registration process. So assuming you're brand new to the forums, or maybe you've been here a few times and you're not really sure how it works, so I just want to walk through again the registration process. This would be the front page where you would access, or the previous page. You'd have the same little box here on the left hand side. My username and password are already filled out here, but assuming you're a new member, you would click on where it says register, and that will bring up the registration page. If you give me one moment here while my browser loads. And actually first we're going to have some terms of service and DailyFX forum rules. I do suggest reading through the forum rules. Obviously, profanity and spam and things like that are not allowed, but it also gives you insight on how to use the forum and how different traders can use it, in terms of their individual needs. So you would go down to the bottom there. You'd click on where it says I have read all the rules, and then you would go ahead to the register, the formal registration page, and that will bring up here. And you can go ahead and select the username, and how about we'll use 4x, and that name is already in use, so maybe add a few more x's there. Again, it really, your individual username is up to you, and you go ahead and fill in your password, your email address. Now, the most difficult aspect of registration for the DailyFX forums will be figuring out these letters in the box here. Now, I'm a semi-intelligent person, but I have a very difficult time figuring out which letters and numbers to use. Now, there is a reason for this madness. It helps with security, but I would suggest just going ahead and keep on clicking that refresh image until something comes through that you can actually identify and see. Then you can go ahead and enter your birthday, but you can decide whether or not to display that to other forum members. And then also, if you were referred by somebody, you can enter that information there. The time zone, that should default to your computer, but you should double check and make sure. And then you can opt in, and I would suggest opting in for these emails if the administrators want to go ahead and send you some notices about the forum, and then you would complete registration. Now what happens is they would send you an email to the email address that you put up here, and that email will include a link, and all you would have to do is go ahead and click on that link, and that link will bring you inside the forum, and you would now be a member of the DailyFX forums. Again, this is Matt Russell. Thanks for listening.